A fighter of Syrian Democratic Forces gestures the V sign at the front line in Raqqa, Syria. Reuters After a 4-month battle, US-backed militias on Friday declared the total liberation of Raqqa, the de facto capital of ISIS in northern Syria. Talal Silo, spokesman of the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, claimed a historic victory over the jihadists and said the extremist group had suffered a brutal defeat, CNN reported. The SDF handed over administration of the devastated city to a council made up of local officials and tribal leaders and a 3,000-strong U.S.-trained police force tasked with governance and security. Our victory is one against terrorism, and the liberation of Raqqa marks the latest chapter in the fight against terrorists in Syria, Silo said in a soccer stadium where ISIS militants had tortured their opponents. SDF commanders told CNN that the victory celebration was held at the stadium, to add insult to injury, following the extremist group's defeat there. Fighters of Syrian Democratic Forces walk along a street in Raqqa. Reuters: the future of Raqqa will be decided by its people, he said. We call upon all countries and peace-loving forces and all humanitarian organizations to participate in rebuilding the city and villages around it and help in removing the scars of war that were inflicted by the IS group. The United Nations and aid organizations estimate that about 80% of the city is destroyed or uninhabitable. Silo said 655 local and international fighters lost their lives fighting ISIS during the long battle. He said residents will be allowed to start returning to the city once the mines and explosives are removed. The fall of Raqqa marks a major defeat for ISIS, which has seen its territories steadily shrink since last year. Fighters of Syrian Democratic Forces dance along a street in Raqqa. Reuters: the extremists took over the city, located on the Euphrates River, in January 2014, and turned it into the epicenter of its brutal rule. Kurdish-led authorities in other parts of northern Syria are already proceeding with plans to establish the federal system in areas they control, kicking off a three-phase election process last month in Kurdish-majority regions, according to Reuters. Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, who is regaining territory with Iranian and Russian military support, has said the state will recover control over the entire country, which has been fractured by 6 years of conflict. With Post Wires.